Now, the truth is that Kalenjin internal politics is very secretive. There have been very few analysts who have been able to break down the internal politics within the Kalenjin community. And even members of that community, even those in the journalism profession, have shied away from doing this. Why? The truth is, their fellow village mates would see them as a sellout. You never reveal internal secrets. Indeed, young boys, right from the very strict circumcision ceremonies of the Kalenjin communities, learn that you never do anything to weaken the community. So it's hardly surprising that anything has come out. But the truth is, Deputy President William Samoei Ruto, widely viewed as the king of the Kalenjin community, has a nemesis, a rival within the community. And that rival is not Gideon Moi. In fact, if you are to talk to insiders, they will tell you that DP Ruto fears this man. I'm of course talking about the Uasin Gishu governor, the very controversial Uasin Gishu governor, Jackson Mandago. In fact, and this is going to shock most of you, in the last general elections, I'm talking about the 2017 general elections, these two individuals were at war. And the truth is, Jackson Mandago outsmarted Deputy President William Ruto. And that is the only reason why he was re-elected as governor of Uasin Gishu. Now, let me back up a little and give you the whole story so that you understand what went down here. Now, most of you will remember that Jackson Mandago in August 2017 faced a major challenge in a newcomer, a man called Buzeki. He's popularly known as Buzeki, although his full names are Zedekiah Kiprop Bundotich. Buzeki comes from those initials. When Buzeki launched his initial campaigns, very many political analysts in Uasin Gishu were sure that Buzeki was going to be the new governor of the county. He attracted huge crowds to his campaign meetings. He had a manifesto, a very detailed blueprint of what he wanted to do for the Uasin Gishu people if elected governor. The incumbent at the time, Jackson Mandago, had never produced any such document. He did not appear to have any detailed plan of where he was taking the county. Now, that was on the surface. However, underground, in the back rooms, what was happening was even more fascinating. It was clear that Buzeki was fully sponsored and supported by Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. It is now clear, and indeed it is old stale news, that in the run-up to those elections, the Deputy President had planned very carefully who he wanted elected where, countrywide. And this very neatly explains why, for example, so many popular leaders in Central Province were wiped out. In Jubilee Party primaries that a man called David Murathe has confirmed were rigged. Murathe, of course, was an authority at the time, being vice chair of the Jubilee Party at the time. And in the Rift Valley, the Deputy President was keen to see two people go home. One, of course, was Isaac Ruto, the Bomet governor, and the other was Jackson Mandago. Jackson Mandago has, of course, been his own man. He doesn't follow instructions. If you want anything done there, you go and see him and you negotiate. And many times, he will disagree with you. So obviously, the Deputy President didn't want this. Not on his own back yet. Because in fact, the Deputy President has got a home within this county. And so the Buzeki campaign was going well. Mandago was well on his way home. Now at first, Bwana Mandago didn't know what was happening. But as the primaries of the Jubilee Party approached, it became very clear to him what the game plan against him was. It was going to begin by him being removed in the primaries. Buzeki would win the Jubilee Party nomination for governor of Uasin Gishu. and that would be the end of Jackson Mandago. The strategy was, I've learned from insiders, he was going to get a lot of support from the very cosmopolitan Uasin Gishu County, from non-locals, and members of the Kalenjin community who are not Nandi. Jackson Mandago is a Nandi. Now, Jackson Mandago is a mobilizer par excellence. You don't just beat him like that in any contest. And after all, he has got Nandi DNA running in his veins. Just do some research on this community and you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. They don't lose battles. It doesn't matter who you are. And so, contrary to all expectations, Mandago won the primaries in Uasin Gishu. And he used every trick in the book, dirty or not. One of them included intimidating House of Mumbi people in that county. But even after winning those primaries, Mandago knew that things were still elephant for him. Buzeki put himself up as an independent candidate against him. And that was when the Mandago team really started doing the homework on this Buzeki man. In fact, this homework was so intensive, that at one point Mandago said that Buzeki's degree was not genuine because the man scored a D+ in his O-levels. And he appealed to authorities to investigate, the IEBC to investigate and throw him out of the race. Because in Kenya, one of the requirements to be elected governor or to vie for the gubernatorial seat is you must have a university degree from a reputable and recognized university. According to Mandago insiders, they even discovered that Buzeki was actually a business associate of Deputy President William Ruto. I have not seen any concrete proof of this, but that's their belief. But what worried the Mandago team most was the fact that Buzeki was receiving support from the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Indeed, Buzeki was being fronted by the second most powerful person in the country. And so they knew Buzeki did not have to receive the majority of votes to be declared duly elected the next governor of Uasin Gishu. Now, what do you do if you know you're going to an election where you're going to be rigged out? You don't call a press conference and announce that you're going to be rigged out. That won't work. Many have done that in Kenya and it has not worked. And so, the next course of action that Mandago took, in retrospect, makes sense now. Because at the time it didn't make sense. Because what happened was in Gishu County was turned into a war zone. Tensions were very high. I don't think there was any other county in the entire country where tensions were as high as they were in Uasin Gishu. Nandi war songs were the norm in Eldoret town, the main city in Uasin Gishu County. And this really terrified the non-Nandi community within Uasin Gishu, especially the House of Mumbi. Why? Because these are the same war songs they had shortly before the fateful 2007-2008 clashes. And then Mandago's team made a statement that did not make sense, including to me, up to this time. They said they had their people, and what they were going to do, they were going to examine the first 100 votes. And if they noticed that the first 100 votes from the House of Mumbi members were against Mandago and for Buzeki, they would send a signal right across the Rift Valley for everybody to vote for Raila Odinga rather than Uhuru Kenyatta in those general elections. Now, of course, that didn't make any sense, because voting in Kenya is by secret ballot. There is no way you can station people and they get to know how people are voting, right across several polling stations, or polling stations where non-Nandis were voting. There was no way you could do that. However, it was a coded message, and this was a coded message. What the Mandago team were telling the deputy president is that if they saw any small sign of rigging, they would mobilize the entire Kalenjin community or rather the entire Nandi community, to vote for Raila Odinga rather than Uhuru Kenyatta. And Mandago and company were serious, which necessitated several visits to Uasin Gishu by the Deputy President to reassure the Mandago team. There's no way the Deputy President would have wasted his time if he did not think that Mandago was serious with his threats. And so Mandago won that war. In the end, Jubilee asked Buzeki to withdraw. Buzeki, of course, refused, which was part of the plan of the Deputy President team. Because if we withdrew, they'd know this man is receiving his instructions from the Deputy President. But if he appeared to rebel, then people would have doubts. Why is he rebelling and yet is being sponsored by the Deputy President? You get my drift. But the truth is, long before the August general elections, Buzeki knew he was losing. Now, one of the things that had really worried the Jubilee High Command was the fact that Mandago actually approached the NASA coalition. And that explains why, something very curious happened in Uasin Gishu. The NASA coalition, and especially the ODM party, declared support and appealed to all their voters to vote for Mandago as governor. This was very strange because Mandago was in the Jubilee party, which was supposed to vote for President Uhuru Kenyatta. And the ODM voters and NASA sympathizers in the county were obviously supposed to vote for Raila Odinga. And as these elections go, the person you vote for governor, the party they come from, is the same person you're supposed to vote for as president or for the presidential seat. Now, this show of support from NASA sent a very clear message to the Jubilee High Command that they could not afford to play any games in this county. And if anything, they were supposed to ensure that Mandago won those elections. Otherwise, if he didn't win those elections, there'd be trouble for the Jubilee Party in the entire Rift Valley. Because the Nandi community, although they are not the ones with the highest population, they're the second highest population, and I'll deal with that in the second part of this video. The Nandi community are still the most influential within the Kalenjin community, larger Kalenjin community. And so Mandago, due to his craftiness and his boldness, won that particular contest against the mighty Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And Buzeki had to lick his wounds. He had to accept the billions he had put into his campaign going to waste. Now, fast forward to the present. It is obvious that Mandago is looking at life after he leaves being governor of Uasin Gishu, because he's completing his second term. And it is very obvious that the Uasin Gishu governor is gravitating towards the handshake. And the following statement is going to shock most Kenyans. The handshake brigade is also using Bwana Mandago to change things politically in the Rift Valley.